Hello and welcome to another video here at Funline Model Hobbies, and yes, it's arrived. It is the Andy Hobby Headquarters Takom, technically, Tiger 1 early production. You can do multiple schemes out of this, and yeah, in this 1/16 scale, and you've got a figure as well. But this box is massive. Look at the size of it. Holy shit. I have had a look inside the box. Boo, I know. But you get 6 paint schemes there, 1943 and 44. But it's rammed full of plastic in this one. So, I'm going to stop talking crap as usual. Let's have a look inside the box. Okay, so when it comes down to boxes, this is just huge. Ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, but it's big. So with that in mind, I've had to pull the camera out, and I've pulled it out as far as I can, and still it's not enough. But anyway, so as you can see, like I showed you before, the box is quite large. But anyway, so this is going to get quite close, so mind your heads. And there we have it. So in the box you get, obviously, a figure, you get your hull and everything else. So I'm not really going to tell you everything, you can look for yourself, but some of the bags you've got multiple sprues in, whereas other ones you've got a single sprue in there, and it just goes on and on and on. And let's face it, you do get your money's worth, and there is a lot of plastic in this. The box is full. It's not like a Revel kit where you get like half a box and you're wondering why, but this one is fully rammed. Top part of the hull, which looks pretty cool. And you've got some track pieces in there. Got these side fenders and everything. And you've got the rear box section and the cupola for the driver thing. And also what you get is a load of tracks, which are just chucked in one bag by the looks of it. And you get your obligatory, you get clear parts, and as well you get a metal barrel and a few bits and bobs. So bear with me 2 seconds and I'll show you the instructions. Okay, so instruction manual, which kind of looks like an operations manual for the crew for the Tiger 1, and it's also got a nice neat little drawing there of one of the soldiers rolling up his sleeves or whatever. Must admit, they did have those type of things on the actual operation manuals, and I think they had some like scantily clad women in there as well. Obviously a bit frowned upon nowadays, but obviously you've got to think of the morale of the troops, but either way we'll gloss over that. So over the page you've got the colour call outs, so there's ×6, and it's all in MIG ammo paints, so you'd have to convert them if you were doing something else, but either way. So you can pause this at any time and have a look at yourself, but that's my favourite, to be honest with you. And you, like I said, you've got ×6 there. Got a bit of blurb about Andy himself. You can pause that at any time as you wish to read that. And then you've got the sprue callouts. So moving on to the build, like any other 1/35th tank, to be honest with you. Yes, it's 1/16th, but as you can see, it's no different. So you're putting all the interior parts on, your drive sprockets and all this, that and the other. Then you go straight onto the wheels, and then virtually step 6 you're onto putting the tracks on. So there's no full interior with this one, but obviously as you can see there, but you can scratch build that if you so wish. So there is room to maneuver with this one. Putting all the last bits and bobs on here. So I'm sort of going to gloss over this, not totally, but you know, show you the main bits. You've got quite a lot of parts going on the top of the lower half hull, which you can fully well imagine with being Tiger. You've just got everything going on, and then you've got obviously, you know, your I'm guessing that's something to do with the exhaust system, and you're putting more bits and bobs on there. And then the gun, actually you've got 2 options, so you can either put a metal barrel, or for whatever reason you can put a plastic one on there. So I'd probably use the metal one, to be honest with you. But either way, you're putting all the gun together, and then it's going onto the gun mantle itself, and then you've got all the internals there. So you've got some part of the gun there, and you've got all the breech and everything. Putting the driver's cupola together, and then you're putting all the turret segments together, and that's basically what you get to there. So it's quite decent out of the box, to be honest with you, for a 1/16 scale tank. Put some external tracks onto the turret, putting the turret down, and that is that. With the exception of, you get a figure. So you get, I'm guessing this might be Michael Wittmann, I'm not quite sure, but either way, does look a nice figure out of the box, to be honest with you. And then on the last page, a bit of blurb, and there's some extra stuff that's coming out in 1/16 scale, so top secret. But either way, that is the instructions. Straight on to decals as well, and as you can see, they're quite thin, to be honest with you. You do get a lot of carrier film on these, to be honest with you, but I don't think it's so much of a problem to cut round them and put them on, or if you're pretty good at putting decals down with a lot of carrier film. You could actually change the numbers around, so you could probably do different ones or whatever, but they do look very nice within register, to be honest with you. And yeah, and they do look, actually, some of them look like they've been painted on. So yeah, nice sort of decal sheet going on there, to be honest with you. Next up, you've got the PE parts, which you would have thought that it was, well, it would have been a small fret in 35th, but with this being 1/16th, it's massive. But anyway, nothing really much to talk about on there, but you've got photo etched. And next up in this bag, you get some cabling, so you get quite a bit of it. So nothing really much to talk about on this one. It is cabling, and it looks very nice out of the box, to be honest with you. So that is that. Okay, so straight on to the plastic parts, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to surprise you that this is the lower half hull, am I? It's very impressive how they've done this, and I know it's just a bathtub really, but they've managed to do it as a oneer, and it's yeah, there's no imperfections that I've seen whatsoever, inside and out. Obviously you've got injection pin marks on the inside, but to be fair, it looks like what it should, and all the detail is there. The only sort of gripe that I might have is that the actual welding seam line, as you can see there, might be a tad soft for this scale, as you can see as it goes around. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you've got them everywhere where it should be, as you can see there, but I do like this one here. If the camera picks it out, there you go. That's what I assume that the rest should look like, but either way, it's all there and it does look pretty good. Okay, so staying with the lower hull, I thought I'd take a look at these two. So you've got M, and I think this one's L. But anyway, again, the details themselves is very crisp all the way through. Looks very nice indeed. Again, the weld beads there look very, very, very nice, to be honest with you, on both sides. So you can't go wrong with that. But you have got weld seam lines on the side of rear, so I might be griping against something that is not that bad actually. But anyway, so you've got, as you can see, a load of holes there that you're going to be filling this up with detail, and the grills look not too bad, as well as the weld bead on there, and you've got some texture in there which looks lovely. Look at that, really nice on both sides. But again, on the back side, you've got these pegs that you just have to cut off, but you're not going to see that side anyway, so very nice indeed. Okay, so again, staying with the lower hull, we've got Sprue T here, and as you can see, the details again look very crisp. I like it how they've done sort of really nice crisp detail on very large parts, as you can see there. So it would actually come out very nice when you put a wash on here. It will be able to pick all the details out. So again, very, very nice on this sprue, as you can see. And on the back side, yes, you've got injection pin marks, but again, you're not going to see any of them, to be honest with you, with the exception of probably these doors if you have it open, or if you can open them. But either way, so that's Sprue T. Next up is Sprue H, and there's 4 very flat parts on there, so nothing really much to talk about, but the crisp details, injection pin marks on the back, you might want to sand them, you might not, just depends if you see them or not. So that is Sprue H. Alrighty then, so next up is Sprue J, and again, this is parts for the lower hull, so you've got your fenders and everything on there. One thing to note is the lovely detail of the hinges and everything, as you can see on there. Again, all the detail looks very crisp. I reckon in areas where you're not going to see them, the injection pin marks are on the back where they need to be. And again, you've got that lovely cast texture, which actually looks in scale for 1/16. And again, on that other part there. On the rear side, these fenders have got injection pin marks on there. Some of them don't look too bad, some of them look quite deep, so you might want to sand them out. You might not want to, or just leave them. Mud might actually cover them, to be honest with you. So, yeah, so nice sprue. So that's Sprue J. Instead of talking about the lower hull, I thought I'd go on to the turret. So you get all this as a 1-in-1 bag. So let's talk about this part first. This is lettered C. And yeah, I can't see any imperfections in this whatsoever. Again, it might be a bit sort of soft on the weld seam lines, but you might not think so. It might actually be like that on the tank. But again, Takom are really good at this, where they can sort of mould something like so with next to no injection pin marks. Yes, you've got them in the inside, but they're all raised, so you can sort of sand them out. Some nice detail on the bottom as well. So yeah, I'm liking that. Next bit I do like, I must admit, is the rear basket that sits on the back of the turret. And again, you see all those latches there that are just moulded in as a wanna and look amazing. You've got your raised rivets going all the way around at the bottom. But again, Takom again are really good at this. There's just hardly any cleanup, to be honest with you. And then you've got your commander's cupola, which again is next to no cleanup. Such lovely work, to be honest with you. So staying with the actual turret itself, we've got Sprue F here. And as you can see, you've got the top part of the turret itself, you've got the different gun mantlets, and you've got the top part of the rear basket system. So again, the detail looks very crisp, as you can see. It doesn't matter which sprue you pick up. Again, you've got the casting texture on there, which looks absolutely awesome on every gun mantlet. And as you can see, there's the different styling of each one for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure. For whatever production, shall I say. Again, you've got all the very nice welding on there, and that's basically it. So on the back side, you're going to have injection pin marks wherever, but you're never going to see them anyways. Okay, so next up we've got Sprue Q. And as you can see, majority of these parts have all the engine deck and the exhaust system. And one thing to note is these bits. So the detail, as you can see, is absolutely exquisite. So this, when it's painted and given a wash, with whatever you use, would look spectacular. The only downside is, as you can see, they are two halves. So depending on how they go together, depending on how you're going to clean them up, you might lose some detail on the side, or you might not. It might actually work out as it should. You've got some slime molded pots on either side of here for the actual exhaust system, and again, you've got all the parts on there which look pretty good, to be honest with you. There's no flash on there whatsoever. Next up we have Sprue B, and as you can see, majority of the parts, everything for the cannon itself. So you've got the muzzle brake here, which is a nice piece of slime moulding, straight out of the box, which looks pretty cool. The only downside of it is that you've got quite a mahoosive seam line down there, but hey, you know, quick clean up and it shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, that's the muzzle brake. The only other thing is that you do have an option for a plastic gun barrel, whereas you do get a metal one. So you've got the option for either or, really, to be honest with you, in the box. And then you've got everything else for the cannon. You've got the other parts there, and doors and this, that and the other. So again, Takom are really good at this sort of large scale moulding. So I can't see any problems with that whatsoever on this sprue. Okay, so next up we have Sprue P. And as you can see, you've got everything here from the engine deck and the exhaust system, and you've got all your tools and bits and bobs here that'll be going on the hull itself. Now, this is where you start realising that you haven't really got a 35th kit. It is a 1/16th kit, and as you can see from the bolt cutters, the hammer, the axe, the pick, whatever that is. So these are all the tools that the drivers would have. You've got like an entrenching tool there, and you've got the spade, and even the spade is longer than my largest finger. This is a spade that you would actually go outside and probably sort of get rid of all the snow off your drive. It's huge. So yeah, all the details there, what is necessary. And again, it's very, very nice in crisp detail, which was in with keeping for the rest of the kit. So yeah, really impressed with that, to be honest with you. Okay, so last but not least, before we actually get onto the road wheels and all this, that and the other, as you can see, you've got all the parts for the cannon itself, so all the breech and everything, all the working parts, internal parts for the turret. So again, the detail is very similar, very crisp to the rest of all the rest of the parts that you've seen. There's no exception, doesn't matter which part it is, they're all very crisp. And again, on the back side, parts where they shouldn't have injection pin marks actually on this sprue, there isn't, which is actually nice on this one, to be honest with you. So yeah, that is Sprue A. Okay, so next up is a Sprue G, and as you can see, there's ×3 of these sprues. So yeah, let's just take a look at one of them, and oh dear, this is when you start realising that you're doing a tank. Look how many parts that you've got to cut off. But either way, so you've got all your torsion bars, and you've got everything, whether it's for the torsion bars or the track themselves, I'm not quite sure. But either way, everything's all crisp. There's no flash on there whatsoever. And on these parts, yes, you need to cut them off on 2 parts of the sprue itself, but there's no injection pin marks on either side. So yeah, very nicely done. Okay, so next up on the saga of all the sprues, we've got Sprue R, which you've got ×4, as you can see there. So again, we'll just take a look at one of them. And as you can see, you've got quite a large amount of road wheels on there, which do, to be fair, look awesome straight out of the box. You've got writing on there as well. So you've got Continental. So you've got the actual rubber stamped with that, which is nice to actually have Continental rather than some sort of Chinese made up version of it. But either way, yeah, so you've got everything else on there. You've got the actual towing eye hook for the actual cable and everything else on there, which looks amazing. And again, you sort of see the sense of scale when you see these wheels, and probably about 4 of them will fit on my hand. Normally a whole kit fits on the hand, but anyway, that is Sprue R. So, oh dear, I thought I'd done all the sprues for the wheels, but I came across these 4, and this one's Sprue N. So like as we've done before, we'll just take a look at one of them, and the detail itself is exactly the same as the other sprue. There's no difference whatsoever. Again, you've got that Continental there on each one. I must admit that the actual tyres themselves look like they've just come out of the factory, so you might want to sort of nick them with a scalpel blade and make them look more worn. But either way, all the details there, and again, they're really good, this Takom, and I can see why Andy from Hobby Headquarters has actually got them to do it, to be honest with you. And again, you've got injection pin marks on the back, but you're never going to see any of them. So anyway, so that's Sprue N. Okay, so last up for the major sprues, well, at least I think so anyway, is Sprue S, which we have here, which is ×2 again. So we'll just take a look at one of them. And as you can see, you've got quite a lot of major detail on here. So you've got the large drive sprocket, which is probably the largest drive sprocket I've seen in a tank, with the exception of a bloody real one. Nice radiator there, some nice detail, and the details for the radiator. Nice fans again for the radiator. And the detail carries on and carries on. Can't fault it whatsoever. You've got the MG42, which I think it is, and they're drilled out, which you'd expect in 1/16 scale. And yeah, some really nice detail on there. Again, on the back side, it must be that they're actually starting to realise, oh, we can't put injection pin marks on there because people might see them. Maybe you're not going to see them anyway. But either way, I do like that sprue. Very, very nicely done. So yeah, that is a Sprue S. Okay, so if you like working with tracks, you're going to love these. So I haven't got a clue how many sprues there are here, whether if you can call them sprues or whatever. But yeah, there's quite a few. So as usual, we'll just take a look at one of them. So I'll bin them off. And the detail themselves, very crisp. There's no cleanup with the exception of where the actual sprue mounts to the actual part. That's the only part that you need to clean up. You might want to clean up the injection pin marks on the back, but do the road wheels go over the top of them? Will you actually see them? I'm not quite sure, but either way, it's just literally, these are all workable track links. So put them all together and just put the bars in between and you're done. So yeah, like them very much. Right, so last but not least, seeing as we've just had like sort of probably the biggest sprues I've ever seen in my life, is the clear sprue, Sprue U. And for one thing I've got to say about this sprue is how clear and how crystal clear the actual clear parts are. They are gorgeous, amazing, stunning in every way, shape or form. But anyway, so yeah, there's nothing really much to talk about them other than that they are clear parts. So that is the review. Do you know what? I told you, didn't I? I told you I'd forget about something, and I did. Probably one of the most important parts of the kit is the figure. What a dick. Anyway, so this one's Sprue V, and as you can see, this figure is probably one of the best figures I've seen in plastic. So, I mean, just look at his belt and his medals, even the Knight's Cross around his neck. I mean, that is stunning. Absolutely amazing. Obviously, it can be improved in certain areas. Obviously, you've got his throat mic there. It's just everything that you need from a figure. So, and his cap is all one piece. So, yeah, very, very nice figure straight out of the box. Obviously, room for improvement, but again, you've got a figure, so you don't need to go out and buy one. And there we have it. That is the review for Andy Hobby Headquarters Takom Tiger 1 early production in 1/16 scale. All I've got in my head is wow for this kit. You do get a lot of bang for your buck with this one. There is a lot of plastic, hell of a lot of plastic. There's a lot of scope there. You can sort of build it straight out of the box. You can add more detail. You can probably build an interior for it. You could probably actually make this an RC tank if you was inclined to do so and you was quite competent and you knew what you were doing anyway. So yeah, for the price and for what you get, it's actually the price is down here and what you get is up here. You would assume that, you know, any other manufacturer would be able to do it a lot, well, they'll do it a lot more expensive. So in that regard, I think it's worth every penny. And I don't normally say that, but I think it is actually for this one. So yes, I know I sort of gripe on about certain parts of the kit, but you know, like the weld seam lines, they might be too soft, or they might not be. They might look like that on the real tank. So I'm just saying before the, you know, the Tiger fans start coming out the woodwork. Woo! Anyway, so you can get this tank from us. We're selling it for 140. So yeah, get yourself a bargain. Anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Cheerio.